and a sudden gale that stirred up clouds of grit and pieces of discarded litter. Startled, the dog cowered, yipped in fear, and darted off into the night. The two Black Hawk transport helicopters, both heavily armed and outfitted with stealth adaptations to reduce their noise and radar cross-sections, descended on Waziristan Haveli. One took up position over the main yard, while the other prepared to land in the more distant, northeast corner of the compound. Inside the first Black Hawk, a dozen heavily armed U.S. SEAL team operatives in full body armor got ready to deploy. They had been preparing for this moment for weeks, training relentlessly, memorizing every detail of the intricate assault plan. The crew compartment door slid open, and fast descent ropes were hurled out into the night, the first men taking up position in the doorway as they prepared to deploy. That was when things started to go wrong. The downwash from the Black Hawk's massive main rotors kicked up a storm of dust in the yard below. Normally this would present little concern, but the compound's high defensive walls prevented the downwash from dispersing, creating a dangerous air vortex that began to pull the Black Hawk downwards. As the pilot fought to maintain altitude, the aircraft's tail swung to the port, striking the compound wall. A violent bang shivered through the fuselage as one of the tail rotor blades sheared clean off. Unbalanced by the sudden change in the complex dynamic forces holding it aloft, the chopper began to yaw dangerously. Alarms blared, and the men in the crew compartment grasped at restraining harnesses to keep from being hurled out the open door. With mere seconds to act, the pilot took the only option open to him and shoved his control column all the way forward, bringing the ailing helicopter down in a barely controlled crash landing. The impact shattered one of the landing struts and pitched the chopper over at a precarious angle, but it was still in one piece. More importantly, so were the men inside. Shaken and battered by the crash, the assault team hastily composed themselves, leapt out of the stricken aircraft, and advanced across the open yard, pressing on with their mission despite its inauspicious start. Lights were coming on in nearby buildings as local residents, awoken by the noise and commotion, stumbled out of bed to gawk at the drama unfolding. The SEALs paid them no heed as they swept in against the building, weapons up and ready. The secondary unit peeled off to breach a smaller structure on the south side of the yard, while teams from the other chopper quickly scaled the inner defensive walls. But the main force advanced on the central three-story residence. That was where their target would be. Breaching charges were planted against the door, and barely a second later they detonated with a resounding boom, the shockwave shattering windows in the upper floors. "Flash out!" the team leader cried, hurling a stun grenade in through the smoking doorway before ducking back behind cover. The lightning flash of the grenade explosion was accompanied by a deafening bang that seemed to roll up through the very core of the house. "Go! Go!" The first three-man assault team went straight in, their night vision devices illuminating the darkened interior in a ghostly green. Adrenaline was coursing thick in their veins now, heightening every sense as they advanced inside. This was it. This was the most important mission of their lives. First door on the right, a single hard kick sent it crashing open. A woman and two children screamed in terror. "Get down!" one SEAL yelled. "Down on the floor!" Civilians, unarmed. They were no threat, though one of the SEALs shoved the woman to the floor, securing her hands behind her back anyway. Even civilians could throw a hand grenade or detonate a suicide vest. "Room clear! Move up!" The team pressed on. More shouts and screams were coming from other rooms, chaos and confusion everywhere. The air was thick with acrid grey smoke. Suddenly, the booming chatter of automatic gunfire resounded from their left, and a door splintered as a burst of 7.62mm AK rounds tore through it. Instinctively, the nearest SEAL dropped to his knees, avoiding the lethal but inaccurate gunfire. The powerful kick of an AK-47 caused severe muzzle climb, meaning shots often went high. The answering burst from a pair of HK-416